Welcome back. Today I'm going to analyze a couple of games that I played against some of you, my subscribers. I had hoped to get through all of these in my previous video, but because I went on at length as I normally do, I only made it through 2 of the games. And I think I have 2 more. I have started running a game review in the background. It should be finished by now. Okay, in this one it looks like we did okay, both my opponent and I, until the very end where my opponent gave me an advantage. And I think one of the reasons the previous video took so long is because I went through every move. But here what I'd like to do is go to the spots at which it looks like I gave my opponent a huge advantage and they didn't take advantage of it. And so we continued on relatively even until near the very end. So let's just skip to this spot. I really dislike that the number shows up in the way of the graph so I can't see exactly what I'm clicking on. Okay, my opponent already had a slight advantage here, and it does look like they have developed all their minor pieces, and all their minor pieces are pointed down here at my stuff. And I've only developed 2 pieces. Well, I guess you can count this bishop, but all I'm doing is defending. And I think I'm ready to castle. And I did castle, and that was a mistake. But I was already behind. What should I have done here? It looks like I'm lost, right? I thought castling was, I thought I might lose a piece or get a pawn structure broken or something over here, but I thought at least if I castled, I'm breaking the pin from this knight. You know, that I can't move that knight right now if they take here, and I would like to, but if I castle, then I can. So I thought castling was a good move. Let's look at castling is not among my top 5. It says I should take this knight with this bishop. But, okay. I think the reason that I probably didn't consider that is because this bishop's defending that knight right now. Because this knight, as I mentioned, isn't protecting that knight on f6 because it's pinned. That's why I wouldn't waste this bishop over here. I guess I would still have the queen defending over there. But then they're going to do this, right? If I take this knight, it says they would take back. And then I should play bishop to a5. Sorry, queen to a5. And they would not take here. Oh, because my queen wouldn't be there anymore, so I could take back with the knight. Okay. But also that gives them a passed pawn. They would have had a passed pawn on move 11. I don't know about that. Okay, but castling was a mistake because they can still take here. And that's what they should have done. Or taken there with one of the knights. Not one of the knights. Only this knight. If they had taken there with the other knight, it would have been bad. Taking here. And it says I would have taken back with the knight, not the bishop. I would have been tempted to take back with the undeveloped bishop because in my experience, and my experience isn't great. Obviously, I'm rated 1200 and something rapid, and I lost my last rapid game, and I can't beat a 1400 rated bot this week. But yeah, I think I would have taken back here. But it says if they had taken, I would have taken back with the front knight, and then they would have attacked my queen over here. I'm failing to follow that line because it says I wouldn't move my queen at that point. All right. Well, it's no wonder my opponent didn't see that then because I don't understand it, and I'm seeing it right here. So let's just follow this out. It says I would definitely want to take back here, or take that knight again, or just move my queen and let them have that knight. Okay, but let's say I played my best move and didn't take back with the bishop, and they wouldn't take here. They would play knight to c6, attacking my queen, and I would just take that bishop, and then they would take my queen. But they would only be up +1. But they would be up more if I moved my queen to c7. Okay, well, why wouldn't I move my queen? Oh, because I can't defend the bishop now because they're attacking that too. Okay, so if I took here and they took my queen, then I would take their knight. And they're only up +1, even though they're up 3 points of material, including my queen. They've given up 2 minor pieces for a queen, but they're only up +1. Well, I agree with the game review. They would be up at least +3 here. Okay. Sorry, that's pretty high level. I do want to say, really good job to my opponent for this very quick deployment of all of these minor pieces. It's very rare that I face anybody at any level who gets all their minor pieces out before trying to trade off or capture or check or anything like that. They've gotten all 4 minor pieces on my 5th rank here, and they're all attacking something, and they're all pointed at things. I'm surprised that it's only +0.4 here, 0.5. It should be higher. My opponent did an excellent, amazing job of getting these pieces out, but I cannot possibly fault them for failing to see the tactic here where they would end up getting a piece for free, basically. Because once they take here, no matter what I take back with, whether I take either one of these that I take back with, they're going to be able to put the knight on c6 and have 2 pieces attacking there. And Stockfish says I would actually be better off to give up my queen for 2 minor pieces than to just give up 1 minor piece. So the game would have, fallen apart quickly if they had seen that. Okay, the next point at which I gave my opponent an advantage was about right here. It says that my opponent played queen to h3, and they're up about 0.6, 0.5 here. I saw them aiming here with 2 pieces. It looked like, very close to checkmate. And it wouldn't have been checkmate because my king can escape, but I would have lost a pawn. I'm pretty sure that if they had checked here and I ran away, then wait, would that be mate? Actually, it does look like it would have been mate. So I thought I had to block this path, and I blocked it with f5. Wait, that's one of my best moves. Why is it? Okay. The game review thought that was a mistake, but it is one of my best moves. The engine says g6 would have been better. I didn't want to play g6 for some reason. Why didn't I? You know what? I think I see why g6 would have been better, because it would have allowed my queen to help defend h7. Okay, I think I understand that, but I don't know why f5 is bad. That also keeps, because they were attacking 2 different things, right? I think that's why I chose f5, because they weren't only threatening the mate here on h7, it looked like they were also threatening my e-pawn with a rook and a queen. So this blocked both of those attacks. So that's why I don't understand why it's a mistake. We're still underneath +1, but that's because they can just take this. Oh, because the pawn's pit. No, wait. No, I would take back with the rook, wouldn't I? It says I wouldn't. It says they would just take it. Yeah, because I can't take here, but I could take with my rook. What would happen if I took with my rook? Oh, they would just take my rook because that pawn is still pinned. Okay, well, that's why f5 is bad. All right. I get that. Okay, so if I had played here, wouldn't they have taken this pawn? Yep, that's what it says. So we would have had to do a little tradey poo here, and guess what? I don't believe this 0.5. It looks like I'm in bad shape. I have to immediately move to defend my bishop here, which is just stuck behind a pawn. Okay. Well, my opponent did not see the fact that this pawn was basically pinned. So thank goodness for that. All right, let's skip on to the next point in the review here. Let's all the way at the end. Looks like very close to the end. Now, I know we had been doing some dance here. I think a couple of times I had moved my queen up because of this bishop. I had moved my queen up, threatening mate, and then they had moved their rook over. But the last time that they moved their rook over, this pawn was behind it. And this time, when I moved here, threatening the mate, what they had to do was pull this rook up to defend that square. But they blundered here by doing the same dance again. Now I'm going to find the point. I want to find the point back here where we did this once before here. Okay, I was wrong about the h-pawn, but they still had their f-pawn here, which was defending that square. So here, when I moved the queen up to g6, which the computer didn't like, I knew I was threatening mate, but I also thought, they would be able to block it, and that's what they did. That's the point that I was talking about earlier when we did that. It looks like there's a bunch of misses in here, and I don't have time to go through all of those. I just wanted to show this one spot where when they did that and I backed up, and I didn't want to repeat. I just, I wanted to play it out. So later, when we got to that point again, here, they couldn't move the rook over because that f-pawn's not there defending that square anymore. So yeah, they had to defend it either with their queen or the rook to e2 to defend against mate there. But instead they played here, perhaps thinking that square was still protected. That's something that we all do, is at some point in the game, we got in our mind that was the defense against this attack. And it was earlier, but now it's not. And of course I took the rook, and it was still threatening mate. It wasn't over because they still had the same defense against mate that they had before. They had to come back here, queen to e2 or bishop to f1 to defend their g-pawn. But my opponent resigned here. Dr. Octagon, I would like to say thank you for this game. It was really good out in here until move 37. And again, I completely understand why you would have made that move that you did with the rook, because earlier it worked. And again, we all do that. It's a common mental error that we all make, but now you know to look out for it. So I have time, I think, to do the last game on my list. So let's move on to that. This is another game against vedantbaj, which I mentioned in my last video. This subscriber regularly challenges me to unrated daily games. I think we've played something like 20 against each other now. If not, we're getting close to 20. This one, the game review was also running in the background. It says we both played very badly. There are lots of ups and downs, especially near the end of the game. And I feel like this one could take a long time because I had 2 blunders, 4 misses, and a mistake, and 8 inaccuracies. And my opponent had 5 mistakes, 5 misses, and a blunder. Oh my. Well, this one might make my brain tired, but I'm going to do my best, and we're going to see what we can learn. Oh, wow. Well, at least none of those are red marks there for blunders or misses. Those are all inaccuracies and or mistakes. I almost feel like this one should be a separate video, but again, let's power through this. Let's learn something. I played e4 as I normally do. My opponent put the knight on c6, which it's a book move of the Nimzowitsch defense. All right. Well, I played what I've been playing against almost everything, as I keep saying, is knight to c3, because I like the fact that I can play e4, knight to c3, and then usually f4 against almost anything my opponent puts out there. There's a few exceptions, like the Scandinavian, where I would take the pawn, but it's nice that I'm able to play this and it's still pretty solid, at least out to move 3 or 4. Here, my opponent's best move is e5. That's what they played, so we have kind of this mirrored thing. I played one of my better moves, which is to develop my bishop. We are now in the bishop's opening. Okay, I thought this was the Vienna game, but it's not. It's the bishop's opening. I thought the bishop's opening was where you get that out first, but maybe it's a transposition because that's older. I don't know. Here I was expecting my opponent to get their knight out here, or possibly bring this bishop out, and maybe we would transpose to the Italian game or the quiet game or something along those lines, and my opponent surprised me by playing there. I didn't know it was a mistake. I thought it, again, when my opponent very early in the game plays something that's unusual or startling, I think it's from an Eric Rosen video or a chess boot camp video or something where they're like, here's this nifty trap. And so that's what I think is going on. And so I'm trying to figure out what the trap is. Here I thought it might be playing, maybe it's f5 is what they were aiming for, and then they have an extra defender for that square. Or maybe it's they're going to play this pawn forward and then try to, infiltrate here on g4. I wasn't sure, but I knew there was something up with it. I also saw that since they did play their e-pawn, that this bishop can come out. And very, very often, I get my opponent putting this bishop right here, which is irritating because it kind of discourages the playing of this d-pawn. So I decided to put a stop to that. It is one of my top 4 moves there, a3, but it's inaccurate. Not sure why. I still have a little bit of an advantage. But what does it say I should have played there? I should have just played knight to f3? Okay. Well, I wasn't sure. Again, I was worried about them coming in here. I thought about, maybe something like this. So that's why I played a3. And then my opponent jumped the knight there into the middle, which, again, I have lots of opponents immediately trying to establish an outpost. And the engine says I'm supposed to I'm supposed to move this knight again. My best move is to move the knight that I've already moved to immediately challenge that knight, and they'll take it. All right. Well, that breaks opening principles, which I'm still trying to learn, but I'm almost at the point of throwing them out the window because every time I say, well, the reason I didn't make Stockfish's move is because of opening principles. Stockfish can beat me at chess every time, and you, and Magnus, and, all these other people we've heard of. So maybe opening principles aren't all they're cracked up to be. Here, I'm supposed to move this piece for a second time, even though I don't need to. I'm not sure why it's counted as inaccurate. It's only 0.13 worse. That's not very much to play what I did play, which is this. I did immediately challenge that knight, and I thought I would be okay. But now my opponent played knight to g4. So then now I'm getting worried because it does look like one of those traps. My opponent hasn't moved anything but 1 pawn and 2 knights. That's very indicative of these traps that I know people learning on, these YouTube videos. That's probably not what happened. My opponent might have just been trying something, but I'm just saying that's what it felt like. That's what it looks like to me when an opponent does this. So I think I have to play precisely. I have to do something exactly right here. The engine says I should take this knight now. And then they would take, and then I would get that knight. Okay, that makes sense. I would take that knight. It would take back. I would get this knight. But wait, then they get that one. How does that put me ahead? Okay, I just hopefully removed a long blank section of me staring at the screen trying to do the math here, but I'm pretty sure I can do 3 plus 3 in my head. So I go up 3 and then we're even. And then I go up 3 and then we're even. I didn't even get that pawn. I mean, I guess I can, but it says I wouldn't. Yeah, I wouldn't take that pawn on c3. I would just drop my queen back to g3, which does what? Nobody knows. Nobody knows what that does and why I wouldn't have taken that pawn. They have a pawn sitting here on c3. All right, yeah, I don't know why that's the best. It's not. H3 would have been my next best move, which again I wasn't sure about because it looked like a trap. I wasn't sure exactly. These knights didn't quite coordinate here because knights don't move that way, but it looks like it's getting close. And something. Well, but something's about to happen here, and I wasn't sure what it was. Apparently, I was incorrect to have that suspicion. It just happens to me so often that that's what happens. I decided to avoid most of that danger in castle, which apparently was fine. So my opponent needs to play d6 or c6 or trade off this knight now. Or Or d5. Wait, they did play d5. Okay, but it was counted as inaccurate because it wasn't as good as d6. Okay, well, they played that, which looked bad because it's attacking my bishop, but I thought I could just take it. Oh, it says, wow, it says I should have taken it with my pawn. Would have been better. That was my first instinct now. I'm not sure why I didn't think of that at the time. Oh, I think the reason I didn't do that is because I thought they would push this pawn forward, but then I guess I could have taken that too. Okay, well, that makes sense. But instead I took with my bishop. It is one of my opponent's better moves to come here, and now I'm supposed to play d3 to defend that pawn. Oh, I thought that pawn was already defended by the bishop. Or wait, this isn't a mistake. Okay, yeah, see, this game review is throwing me off here. I played my second best move, which is really close in evaluation, which is to take that knight now. That's what I did, right? Yeah, it says that's a mistake because because it's the same evaluation as not doing that. Okay, well, they took back with the pawn, and now I need to move this knight. I should have moved it back here. Well, that makes a lot more sense than what I did do. Okay, or I could have just played f3. Okay, well, what I did do was go over there. You know why I did that? Because so many of these evaluations, these post-game analyses have involved me missing this because I can hit that. Knight to b5, then knight to c7 check, which is a fork of, various pieces, including the king, and I miss it. It's always a miss. The game review says it's a miss. So when I was thinking about places to put that knight, that seemed like a good one. And I'm trying to follow Stockfish's advice. It was not right here. And the reason is because they can play queen to f4. That's what the engine says. All right, yeah, Stockfish is playing games with me. I understand why you might want to put it there because it does defend the c7 square, but that's so easy for me to attack. I can attack it by pushing d3, which it wanted me to play earlier, and then my bishop's pointed right at the queen. I could attack it by playing g3, which is what it says I would do. Then they would go over there, and then I would get this fork, but it wouldn't be that bad, and they would be ahead, and I wouldn't even take the rook. All right. Well, my opponent didn't play queen to f4, probably for the reasons I just enumerated, because it doesn't make sense to humans like us. They played that instead, which seems like a good idea. It guards that pawn. And I'm supposed to play f4. Nope, it changed its mind. I'm supposed to take the bishop. But f4 is the exact same evaluation. Is it because they're aiming here? Well, then taking the bishop seems like a good plan. Okay. Well, I took the bishop, so I'm okay now. Because none of us understood queen to f4. That's why I'm doing fine. They're supposed to take with the queen, but they took with the pawn. Okay, I do understand why that's a mistake. Right now, you would really like this pawn to dislodge my bishop. I'm pretty sure. I think I understand that that's why this is a problem. Doubling pawns, especially here, they're isolated now. They're never going to have friends. Pawns that are in front of each other are almost never friends. Usually one of them's doing pretty badly. And if they don't have anybody beside them, they do pretty badly. So yeah, that I understand. I think I understand why that one's a mistake. Okay, so I'm ahead here. Wait, I thought I lost this game. Maybe I got confused on that too. I get confused a lot. All right, I'm supposed to play d3 now? No, h3. I'm supposed to play h3 or f3. Okay, I guess I get those. Or d3. Okay, I played d3. Good. To me, that says that this pawn here is never going anywhere, or at least it's going to be a long time. And my bishop is also never going anywhere, unless it trades off for their light squared bishop. Then it'll be fine. All right, they're supposed to drop their queen back, don't know why, or play h6, or move their queen over here, or take their queen to the back, or put their queen on g6. What? All the top moves except h6 are queen moves, so my opponent castled, which seemed like a good idea, but it puts me up just a little bit further. But again, I need to play h3. Is that what I played? It isn't. Okay. Well, I wanted to develop this bishop, but I can't develop it there because of the pawn. Can't develop it there because of the queen. Can't develop it there because of the queen. Can't develop it there for many reasons. The queen, the knight, and the pawn. Probably the knight, but who knows? So I developed it here to d2. But that's not good. Should have played h3. It would have been at +2 if I'd played h3. Okay, well, I developed a piece because opening principles. And my opponent was supposed to go here, bishop to e6. That's e6, right? And I would have left my bishop where it is and played h3. And then they would have taken my bishop, and I wouldn't have taken back. I would have taken their knight, and then they would have gotten their bishop out of danger. I can guarantee that's not what would have happened. Now, if they had played here, I might have not taken it because then their two isolated pawns would have a friend. It would be that pawn that came over to help, and that would have opened up their rook. So yeah, if they had played there, I probably would not have taken it. I probably would have let them take me, and then we could have had a really cool pile of pawns in the middle. So yeah, I don't know about that, but they did develop their bishop, so now look what we have. This is cool, right? Look at that. If they'll just put their queen back there, that would be a nice d-file. But it's my turn, so I need to play h3 because this knight's irritating. I think that's why Stockfish is saying is that knight is irritating. Or take this free pawn that they've just offered to me. I'll be honest, I did see that free pawn, but a lot of times Stockfish says not to take it because then they'll come over, and then when you run away, then they get your pawn. So that didn't seem like a great idea. Okay, my next best move is b4. Wait, I did play b4. Okay, well, because it wasn't h3, it says b4 is bad. Wow, this game is getting really hilarious. What in the world? Look at all this. Okay, let's power through. They moved that. I did take the free pawn finally because now they can't get mine. That's why I played b4, is so when I took this pawn, they couldn't do this trick. Now, they moved the rook over there, which is excellent. It's one of my better moves to put the bishop back where it was, and now I'm 2 pawns ahead. Now, notice, we did get the d-file, just not with the queen. We've got the whole d-file stacked up, and I think that's cool. If that's not one of the Rosen trophies, it should be. Getting all of one file or row filled up with pieces and pawns. Maybe there could be specific things, but look, we have 3 bishops, 3 pawns, and a rook and a queen, filling up that entire file. So no matter what else happened in this game, I think my opponent and I did a great job on that. Okay, well, they played there, which wasn't great, and I'm up a little bit if I'll play bishop to b3. Oh, I could drop this bishop back here. Okay, or even all the way back to a2, or play h3 again, which is apparently the engine's favorite move in this game, or f4. Why didn't I think of f4? I didn't. I thought of a4. Now, the reason I thought of a4 is because I kept worrying about maybe this guy coming around, and so I was going to push my b pawn here in a second. But now they can take on h2. What? That's their best move. If my opponent captures my h2 pawn with their knight, and then I would capture it with my king, and then they would check, and then I would go back, and then they would put their rook behind their queen, threatening mate. But then I would move my f pawn, and I would have a way out of mate. So why would they do that? I completely understand why my opponent didn't do that, because it gives up a knight for a pawn and a failed attempt at checkmate. So fortunately, my opponent saw through that, and I don't know why Stockfish couldn't see through it, but that was supposedly their best move. Their second best move was to put the queen over. Again, not sure why it's an inaccuracy, but because that was their second best move. I'm not sure what it's aiming at, but Stockfish said it was okay. Not this Stockfish, but the one, right here that said it was okay. Where'd it go? Oh, now it's not as okay. Yeah, a second ago it was the second best move. Okay, well, I did what I said I was going to do, was keep pushing this pawn. I thought maybe I could pick that one off, and nobody's defending this bishop, and I might get a passed pawn out of this deal. I'm supposed to play f3 or f4. I didn't think of that. And they're supposed to play rook to h5 now. But guess what they did? Now my opponent thought about this, but now it's not good. I don't know why. So, to my opponent, good job. You saw the same thing Stockfish saw. Stockfish saw it a move earlier and thought it was great. Said it wouldn't work, but thought it was great. And you had the same thought here. So you're one turn away from being as smart as Stockfish, apparently. I am supposed to take it. It's my only good move to take it. Well, I'm not as smart as Stockfish, so I did that. But that's what Stockfish told me to do a turn or two ago. So I'm also one turn away from being as smart as Stockfish, except now they get my rook. But if they get my rook, I'll get their rook. They're supposed to do it, and it says I would not take their rook. I would take their knight. But instead they got their rook out of danger. That's what they were supposed to have done a turn ago instead of taking the pawn with the knight. So again, my opponent is one move off of being as smart as Stockfish. And now I'm supposed to shoot forward and threaten the queen with this pawn. Now I can't take the knight now. And did I threaten the queen with that pawn? No, wait, what? Why'd I do that? That doesn't make any sense. Why'd I play e5? Okay, that I can't figure out. I have no explanation for e5. That I wouldn't know that it was a blunder, but it doesn't seem like a great idea. Now they're supposed to take this rook here with the knight, but instead they put the bishop there. That's a miss because they didn't get this. Now I started getting pretty worried here. I'm no longer worried about it being a trap, but now it's starting to look like my opponent's got major piecage coming through here, and I'm barely defending that. Oh, maybe that's why I played e5, so my bishop could backward defend the g-pawn. Probably not, but that's what I'm going to tell myself, right? Oh, you know what? I bet the reason I played e5 was so I could do this and threaten their queen. But I don't know. Oh, it says that's my best move now. Did I play it? The world may never know. Oh, yeah, it will, because I'm going to play my next move right now. Oh, no, I threatened the queen with the pawn. Now we're even again, but only if they take that pawn with their bishop, which they can, and they did. Oh, I'm supposed to take it with my rook. I'm supposed to give up the rook for that, and we'll be even. I didn't, though. I continued with my plan over here, because I thought if I moved any of these pieces, that I would get messed up. I don't know why I didn't think to move the rook. I probably should have moved the rook, because they're supposed to take it now. But did they? No. I don't know what that does. Oh, I think they wanted to move their queen, and they saw that my queen was pointed at their rook that was defended. But if they move their queen, if they move their rook, then they don't have to keep their queen there. Maybe that's what they were thinking. Okay, we have a lot more coming up, a lot more blunders here. Okay, I'm supposed to play queen to e1 now to continue pointing at the rook, since it moved and I'm not pointed at it anymore. But instead I went ahead with my plan. Because again, I thought if I moved any of these pieces over here, I would mess it up and they would checkmate me. They're supposed to ignore that pawn over there, and they didn't. They did that. But that lets my pawn pass. That was the whole plan, isn't it? Yeah, so that's what I did, but I'm not supposed to do that. I'm supposed to attack the rook by playing queen to e1, but I pushed that pawn again. Now they have to worry about this, I think. But they really don't. They can just take this. But then they didn't. They went back over here. Now look what I have. I have bishop captures f7 check, protected by my rook. And they would take it with the bishop. I mean, they would take my bishop with their queen, and then I would take their queen with my rook, and then they would take my rook with their king. Instead of that, I got the thing that I have a lot, which some of you probably do this too. We have tunnel vision. I'm really only seeing in this square when it comes to defense. And as far as an attack, I was only looking at these two. Because again, I wasn't sure how to make this defense any better, and I didn't want to make it worse. So that's why I was pushing these pawns just for the fun of it. But I was not thinking of attacking. And that's a problem. I had drawn a little 5x5 square here, and that's where I was mostly playing. But when they did this, it looks like they're threatening mate, but they're not, because my bishop's still guarding that. That's one reason I didn't want to move this bishop, because I'm focused on my bishops protecting this pawn. But guess what that bishop moved in? Their knight's not protected anymore. So I thought I can just take that knight now. So I did. But that's a huge blunder. Now they have mate in 5, but they only have mate in 5 if they'll take here. Because in this particular instance, my bishop would not be defending g2 anymore, because I would be in check. And that bishop would be protected by the queen, so I couldn't get out of check that way. I would have to get out of check by moving here. If they took this pawn right now, that's check from the rook. I would have to go to g1. It's the only legal move. Then they could take my bishop, and it would be check from the queen. I would have to go to f2. Then they could check me here, because that pawn would be gone. And the line continues, but it's getting pretty close to checkmate. But instead, my opponent did see that if they moved the bishop, it would be check from the rook, but they didn't see that. They saw this. I'm in check from the rook, so I can't defend my queen against the bishop's attack. Now, somehow, some way, that puts me ahead, but I resigned here. How does that put me ahead? It says if I play king to g1, they would take my queen, and then I'm ahead now. Oh, I'm ahead because of this, because they would take, and I would take, and they would take, and then I would take their bishop. No, I wouldn't. What? Oh, now I would fork their rooks. That's spicy. Which one would they save? Oh, Stockfish said they definitely want to save this back one, probably by putting it in front of the passed pawn, and then I would take this one. Then they're going to save their bishop. How am I ahead, though? Yeah, at first it said g5 was their best move, but now it says take this pawn. Well, that's because I can't go here now to defend my pawn, I guess, but I would go here. That's my only move. And then, oh, it was a great move, but they wouldn't take this now. They're going to let me have their bishop. No, they're not, right? They're not going to let me have the bishop. What if they took this pawn? What do I do? Oh, I would check. That was a good move on my part if I had made it, but I didn't. And then they would have to get out of check coming after this pawn. Would I take? Oh, that would be okay if I did. Or I could check here, which protects the pawn and is guarded by my bishop. I would probably just take here and then they would take that. It says no, but they probably would, right? And then I would, oh, that's spicy too. Look at that. All lined up. I'm protecting my rook. They have to get out of check. They're probably going to go here. What? It says my best move is to check there. Oh, because then I would take their rook. Man, I probably wouldn't find that, but that would be cool. And then I would take this one. Yep. Look at that. It's nasty. Okay. Well, but when my opponent played this and I thought I've lost my queen, it's over, and I resigned. So again, lesson here, there's probably 30 or 40 lessons in this game, but I don't know what any of them are except for this one. Don't resign. You might be ahead. Thank you for spending your time here. Hopefully you got something out of this. If not, hopefully then maybe you can give me something out of this by explaining just one or two of the things that you understood that I didn't. If you try to explain all of them in one really long comment, I will try to understand it, but that'll make it harder. That's all I'm saying. Thank you so much to any of you subscribers who challenge me to unrated daily games. I enjoy playing these and usually enjoy analyzing them too. I'll see you next time.